What's up, everybody? We are live here on Pub Sports Radio Live, going to be breaking down UFC Vegas 20 from a Draftkings perspective. And yeah, I mean, it's an interesting card. I don't think it's going to be as exciting as it was last week. Last week was absolutely insane. It was finish after finish after finish after finish after finish after finish after finish. This week, I see a lot of decisions. I don't see some crazy DraftKings scores like we had last week. Last week, the winning lineup was 735 DraftKings points, and I put up a 707 in my best lineup, which on any other night, that would have been a takedown, but was able to get 9th place in the 150 max, which was awesome. But yeah, 735 for the winning lineup. So I don't necessarily see scores being that high, but still, should be a fun card as always and another opportunity to make some money. So before we get started, if you can leave a like on the video, helps out a ton. Subscribe if you have not yet to the channel, does help out a ton as well. And I'm with you, Preston. Blades owes me rent money as well. What was he doing? I could not believe it. The dude went out there with probably the worst game plan possible. There were so many other ways of attacking that fight. He literally picked the worst way to attack it. But we move on. We move on from it, and we're going to break down this card from a DraftKings perspective, as always. We could have retired on the correct under 2.5 parlay last week. Yes, indeed. There were some crazy fights that I really did not expect finishing, going out there and finishing early as well. But as far as this card goes, I see there being a lot of decisions. So with that said, we're going to get right into it here, starting with the first fight of the night. And yeah, last week I kind of talked about how the first fight of the night last week was going to be important. It was that Jared Vanderaa fight versus Sergey Spivak. And Spivak went out there and it wasn't even close. And Spivak was very low owned as well. I can kind of see the same thing here. I do think Jacoby's going to gain some ownership, but again, it's the first fight of the night. I do like attacking it because people really don't like playing it. So Jacoby, what he's going to bring is he's going to bring a lot of volume, has very good calf kicks. I don't know if I see a finish. Grishin has been finished, 3 times by knockout in 41 fights. So it is on the durable side, but I do like Jacoby in this fight. The only thing I'm concerned about is if Grishin does decide to take this fight down to the mat, then I'd have some concerns. But just going through the fights of Grishin, it's just not something he does as much as I'd like. So for that reason, I do like Jacoby. I think it's safe. There really isn't many good plays in this mid-range, but 8,500. If he does get a finish, I do think it can hit value. But if he does not get that finish, I do worry about the ceiling of Dustin Jacoby. But yeah, we're not working with much here. I mean, we have 11 fights. We already lost the Mennefield Knight fight, which sucks because I do think that was going to score high. So we're down to 11 fights, a lot of fights that are going to decision. This could be one of them. But I will have some Jacoby at 8,500. So I don't hate it. But again, I don't know if there's a really high ceiling on Jacoby this week. What's up, Boston? Nick in the chat. How you doing? Getting into the next fight here, and I do have some interest in this fight, and it's Ronnie Lawrence versus Vince Caceres. So we saw Lawrence come in here off of the Dana White's Contender Series. He got 11 or 12 takedowns, and I just think it's a good stylistic matchup for him here. Somebody that does struggle with the takedown in Vince Caceres, and not only was he taken down a decent amount of times by Emmers, I did see him taken down pretty easily on the regional scene as well. So if Lawrence can come out here, work that takedown game, I think he's going to have a lot of success here. And like I've said the past couple of weeks, the new DraftKings scoring system, it does favor the wrestlers and grapplers, and that's just what Lawrence is. I mean, he has some striking as well, but I think he needs to go to that wrestling here, and he's going to have a lot of success doing so. I actually do think this fight as a whole is going to be very low owned because a lot of people probably aren't going to know who either of these guys are. 8,600, if he does go out there and get multiple takedowns, lots of control time, I can actually see a pretty high score from the Ronnie Lawrence side. So for that reason, I actually have a lot of interest in the Ronnie Lawrence side. As far as Vince Caceres, I'll be honest, I'm just not impressed with the guy whatsoever. His takedown defense isn't all that there. 2-3 in his last 5 fights. I like Lawrence here. I like Lawrence a decent amount. I'm going to have him in a decent amount of lineups as well. As far as cash games go, I think it's a good cash play. I do think this probably goes to decision. I do think there's a nice floor with the takedowns. So I don't hate Ronnie Lawrence. And I do think he has one of the higher upsides on the slate, honestly. And probably, like I said, going to be a little bit low owned because people really don't know who this dude is. So Ronnie Lawrence, I'm liking 8,600. Going up a little bit, we have Sabino Mazo versus Alexis Davis. So honestly, if I had to pick a side here from a DraftKings perspective, I'd probably be taking the Alexis Davis side at 7,300 compared to the 8,900 of Sabino Mazo. And she has had some decent DraftKings scores in the past. She does have a lot of volume. I can see a lot of volume, a volume-heavy game plan in this fight. But with the new DraftKings scoring system, with the significant strikes going from 0.5 to 0.4, I just really am concerned about the ceiling of Sabino Mazo. And I'm really concerned about that price tag as well. Alexis Davis is somebody that is 36 years old. She is coming off of a layoff, but if she can get this fight down to the mat, I think she can have a lot of success. But just going back and looking at the fights of Alexis Davis, it's just not something she does all that much. She only lands 0.74 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 33% takedown accuracy. And I mean, really, she has to know, like, she needs to get this fight down to the mat. If not, Mazza is going to be the much better striker, the faster striker, landing the harder shots. And Alexis Davis is somebody that definitely wears the damage. So she does need to get this down to the mat. If she does, she has a black belt in BJJ. Maybe she can work her submission game. But if anything, like, I'm taking the discount on Alexis Davis here. I think this fight's going to be virtually not owned at all. I don't think anybody's going to play either side here. I really don't like the Mazza side. I don't necessarily see a finish. But Alexis Davis at 7,300 is actually something I'm kind of interested in from like a punt perspective. So Alexis Davis, really cheap. If she does win, it's her getting takedowns, getting top control, maybe a submission as well. So as far as the DraftKings standpoint goes, I'm going with the savings of Alexis Davis. What is that? A $1,500 savings on Alexis Davis there rather than paying up for Sabina Mazza, who's probably going to win a decision if she does win, and probably going to be throwing significant strikes. No takedowns from Mazza, no control time. I just don't think she scores well. So if anything, give me Alexis Davis. But as far as a pure pick, I'd probably go Mazza. I'm worried Alexis Davis walks down Mazza and gets her up against the cage and takes her down. Yeah, exactly. Like, that is definitely possible. If Alexis Davis comes in here with the game plan of doing that, I actually think she can be a really, really low-owned, sneaky play at a very cheap price. So, believe it or not, I think Alexis Davis is in play at very low ownership as well. Davis by decision sportsbook look. I don't have the line on me, but I want to say it's, if she's like plus, I don't even know if she is, plus 180, something like that. Maybe it's like a plus 230, plus 240. Not a bad look. But only thing I'd be currently concerned about is if she was able to sub Mazza, but then again, I don't think that's all that likely. But yeah, Davis by decision is not a bad look. But yeah, from a DraftKings perspective, it's something I'm definitely looking at. All right. Next, we have a very intriguing fight. This fight is going to be, it's supposed to be Alex Oliveira versus Brown. But now it's Alex Oliveira versus Ramazan Magomedov. And I don't know, this is such a tough fight to call because it's really hard to decide like which Alex Oliveira is going to show up. Is he going to be motivated? Is he going to come in here overweight like he did last fight, I believe? And he just did not look like he wanted to be in the fight last time. Ended up getting submitted against Shavkat, I think in like the first or second round. But as far as this fight goes, Oliveira is going to have so much more experience. Watching Ramazan Magomedov, I do think he has some high upside, but the dude is just so hittable. And if he's hittable against Alex Oliveira, I just don't know how well it's going to work out for him. I'm going to say it. I think Oliveira is actually live for a knockout here. And just going through the record of Alex Oliveira, he hasn't had many finishes as of late. But overall, the dude has a 78% finish rate, 55% by knockout, 23% by submission. He does hit hard, and Magomedov does leave a lot of openings. So I actually don't hate this fight to target on both sides, because if Magomedov wins, it's going to be because he's throwing more volume, which, as you can see, it's really not hard to do. Oliveira only averages 2.87 significant strikes per minute. Magomedov in his one Contender Series fight averaged 11.67, but he also got hit quite a bit against Jordan Williams, got hit about 9.13 times per minute with a 54% striking defense. So, like I said, he is hittable, but he's going to bring a ton of volume. Could that be enough to beat Alex Oliveira? I think it could, but Alex Oliveira, I think, is going to be live for a knockout, which is pretty crazy to think about because he hasn't done so in a while, but I would not be shocked if he was able to do so. Magomedov, 8 wins, not much experience. He's still very green. Oliveira actually probably should really win this fight. It's just, will he show up or will he not show up? And that's what makes it so hard. So as far as an underdog play, I think Oliveira is definitely live. Some concerns, of course, is the cardio. Some concerns, of course, is the output. But I would not be shocked if he went out here and got a finish himself. So definitely a fight I want both sides. But if I had to take a pure pick, I'd probably pick Oliveira just because of the experience. But I do like what I see from Magomedov. I just don't think he's all that ready yet. So Oliveira for me mostly, but I will have some Magomedov just because he definitely could win this fight just based off throwing volume. 2.75. I mean, plus 275. Can't read. Plus 275 for the Alexis Davis decision. It's not bad. Not bad. Probably better than that money line. What's up, Ali? Genius. Appreciate that. By decision, I got you. Was plus 300. So some money is coming in on the Alexis Davis decision. And I noticed some money's coming in on Alexis Davis in general, which is very interesting. But I get it. I mean, she has a path to victory. It's just whether she chooses to use it. So I do think Alexis Davis is live. Am I going to bet it personally? I mean, maybe I'll take a look at the decision prop. Actually, it actually has some decent value, I think. So maybe I'll take a look at the decision prop. But yeah. So next fight, and this is such a tough fight to call for me. I see a lot of love on the Hernandez side. I definitely do get it. I think it's a solid matchup for him. But man, Moises is somebody that's very young himself. A lot of people are talking about Hernandez being young, making improvements. Moises is 25 years old, and we've seen in his last fight, his striking is getting a lot better. His wrestling, his takedowns are getting a lot better. He's training at a very good camp. I would not be surprised if this fight played out a lot closer than the line indicates. And for that reason, 7,500 for Moises, I don't think is all that bad of a price. Hernandez is somebody that is a little bit on the chinny side. We've seen him hurt multiple times. We've seen him knocked out twice. We've seen him slowed down before in fights more than once. And I think Moises is going to have the better cardio. He's going to have the better ground game. It's just the question I have is, does he get it to the ground? And the other question I have is, what happens if it does hit the ground? Moises is a very, very good black belt. Like I said, I do think he has the advantage on the mat. It's just, can he get it there? And I actually think he can. I mean, Hernandez has a pretty solid takedown defense, but he has been taken down before. His takedown defense is sitting at 57%, which on paper is not bad, but his takedown defense isn't bad. But if Moises can work in that wrestling, I think he can have a lot of success here, or just grinding out Hernandez, getting him tired, because that gas tank just isn't all that there for him. And I know he's at a new camp making improvements. Could those improvements, come into play? Sure, they could, but the same thing can be said for Moises. Moises is making improvements each and every fight, and we saw the best Moises last fight against Bobby Green. Although I thought he lost that fight, it was still the best Moises we saw. So I actually don't mind Moises at 7,500. If he does win, it's because of the pressure. It's because of the control time. It's because of the takedowns. Maybe he finds a sub. If Alexander Hernandez wins, I see it being a decision. I see him stuffing the takedowns, piecing apart Moises for 3 rounds. I don't see him knocking out Moises. Could he? I mean, maybe, but Moises has a chin on him. So I'd rather take the $1,200 savings on Moises. I think if Alexander Hernandez wins, which he very well could, I just don't see it scoring all that well with no takedowns. At least you wouldn't think he's going to take Moises down. No control time, and probably not a finish. So I like Moises here as an underdog. As far as like a bet, probably not. I really don't want to bet this fight. But as far as like DraftKings, I think Moises at 7,500 is not a bad look, especially if Hernandez does slow down later in the fight. I do think that Moises is live to either take over the fight or maybe find a late finish. So we've seen it more than once. We've seen Hernandez drop the ball, and going through his career, I'm just not all that impressed with the guy. So Moises, for me, from a DraftKings perspective, as far as a betting perspective, staying away, especially not laying the -200 on Hernandez, that's for sure. All right, what's up, Corey Middleton? How you doing? Longtime lurker here. What's up? Your breakdowns are great, even if I don't agree with your side. I love hearing your input. Keep it up. Appreciate that, Corey. Yeah, I mean, can't agree with anything, but it's always good to hear different people's perspectives. Boston Nick, hit the subscribe, guys. Hit the subscribe, guys. I agree. It's us against the bookies, Corey. Let's go. Yeah, I agree. It's us against the bookies all day, every day. All right, so getting into the next fight, and I'm so excited for this fight. This could be my most anticipated fight on the card. Could be fight of the night just because of the style that Kevin Croom brings. And right off the bat, I think this line's off. I think the DraftKings pricing's off. If I was to price this, I would probably price it Caceres 8,200, Croom 8,000. I think this fight's very close, and I think it will play out close as well. And I think that Croom is going to present a lot of problems for Caceres. Caceres is going to want to stay on the outside in this fight. He's going to want to pick apart Croom, which is very doable, but Croom's going to make that really hard on him by coming forward, throwing bombs. If he does get this down to the mat, I really fear for Caceres probably getting submitted for the 7th time. I mean, he's been submitted 6 times. I think he's a black belt, but sometimes watching tape, I really question that ground game of Caceres, allowing guys to take his back so easily and choke him out so easily. So I think if Croom can't get this down to the mat, he's going to have a lot of success. But going back and watching tape on Croom, I don't really like what I see from the wrestling, but he is relentless with it, which I do like. Also seen him take the back standing from his opponents multiple times. Caceres got his back taken standing from guys like Chase Hooper, guys like Jason Knight. Jason Knight was able to tap him out there. But yeah, Croom at 7,400 is not a bad look. And the thing that really gets me here is, Chase Hooper was -200 against Alex Caceres. To see Croom at like +180 is just crazy, because comparing Hooper to Croom has better striking. Croom has better wrestling. Croom is more dangerous on the feet. Sure, you'll probably give the grappling edge to Hooper there, but Croom has a lot more experience. So I think this fight should honestly be lined to pick him. And Croom actually has more experience than Caceres. I know Caceres has been fighting the better level of competition, but Croom has more fights on his record. And just listening to the interviews of Croom, he's saying it himself. It's gonna be a fun fight. I mean, he's going to be a fun fight. He said it's not going to reach the decision, which I love to hear, especially from a DraftKings perspective. I do think this fight's important. I think Croom is going to be one of the more popular underdogs on the slate, and for an absolute good reason, because if he does get this down to the mat, I think the sub is so live. And even on the feet, we saw he had power. In his last fight, he went out there and hurt Roosevelt Roberts very bad, ended up submitting him. So I think Croom has multiple paths to victory, and if he does win, it probably scores well. And on the flip side, I think this part is very important because I remember Caceres versus Hooper. Caceres was sitting at, I want to say, like 7,700, 7,600. Nobody had Caceres. Nobody had him. And I actually targeted him a decent amount because Hooper was so unproven, and Caceres was sitting at like 10%, 11%, ended up being on the optimal lineup. Just having some Caceres actually got me a first place finish that night. So I think Caceres at 8,800, nobody's going to play that guy. Everybody's on Croom this week, and rightfully so. But Caceres is definitely live himself for a finish. Watching tape on Croom, when he does go for takedowns, he leaves his neck exposed. So I would not be shocked if Caceres found a submission himself. I mean, he got a submission in his last win, and I can tell you right now, nobody is going to be playing Caceres at 8,800. So I will be playing some Caceres. I will have more Croom for the pricing, but if you're looking for a really low own at dart throw, Caceres at 8,800 is not really a bad look just because of how low owned he is. And I do think there's going to be a finish either side. My lean is Croom getting that finish, but Caceres 8,800, low ownership. I would not be shocked if he found a finish himself. And I would not be shocked if either guy won. And the winner is probably going to score high. So I like Croom a lot. Really hard to deny how much upside he has for an underdog. But if you're looking for a really low owned play with some upside, I think Caceres is not bad as well. All right. He did KO Dariush, and that's what everybody talks about. I like the comparison to Hooper. Good point. Yeah, I mean, it's just weird. I mean, Hooper was minus 200, and Croom would destroy Hooper, I think, Croom is just better than Hooper everywhere outside of probably the straight jiu-jitsu, honestly. What's up, Mills in the building? Exactly. I mean, Bruce Leroy does not deal well with pressure. And what is Croom going to do? He's going to pressure him, and he's going to pressure him 100% of the fight. So I do like that from Croom. Croom by decision, ladies and gents. See at the window, big plus money play. I mean, it's possible. I mean, I'm hoping for the sub, but yeah, it is possible. Just my 2 cents in the building. What's up, 2 cents? What's up, Connor Mack? How you doing? All right. So yeah. So like I said, this is going to be a fight you are going to really want to target. I'd say from both sides, but I have a really strong lean on the Kevin Croom side, and I do expect him to be like the first or second highest owned dog. I think it's between him and Rozenstruik, honestly, for being the highest owned. All right. Next, we have a fight I really don't want to talk about too much. Angela Hill versus Ashley Yoder. Angela Hill at 9,200. No way would I ever pay 9,200 for Angela Hill. I don't see her getting a finish. I don't see her getting takedowns, obviously. I don't see her getting top control time. Really no reason to go up there and pay 9,200 for Angela Hill when you can go up there and get guys like Ciryl Gane, Ankalaev, guys like that. So, yeah, no thanks on the Hill for me. Even on the Yoder side, like I don't think she's going to win, but if she does win, it probably scores well. If she does win, that means she's getting takedown, she's getting top control, maybe getting a submission. It's a big stretch there. So going to have virtually zero of this fight. If anything, I'll throw a little bit of lineups with some Yoder in it, just because maybe she does get Hill down, but Hill's takedown defense has looked fantastic as of late. It's improving. She stuffed a ton of takedowns from Michelle Watterson. She stuffed some takedowns from Claudia Gadelia, and she's a lot better than Yoder. So I'm picking Angela Hill to win. But as far as a DraftKings play, I mean, there's no way I'm paying 9,200 for Angela Hill here. So no Angela Hill for me. If anything, I'll throw a little bit of Yoder, but even then, that's a pretty big stretch. What UFC shirt is that you're wearing? It's the walkout shirt. Brady coming to Vegas Derby weekend. Was that May 1st? Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I am. Hill on DK this week is a straight fade, especially with the new scoring system. Good point. And Yoder's path to victory is grappling, so I'm staying away from Hill and DK. Yeah, definitely. If I was to play anything at all in this fight, it would be the Yoder side, and even that, it's extremely ugly. So I can see Hill being optimal and everyone shaking their heads. I mean, if she's going to be optimal, she's going to go out there and she's going to need to finish Yoder probably in the first round, maybe second round. She's going to need to maybe knock her down. Could it happen? I don't I don't really think so. Let's see. Has Yoder ever been knocked out? Maybe once. Yoder has never been knocked out. She's never been finished in 14 fights. So I mean, could it happen? I mean, anything can happen. It's MMA, but I just think it's really on the unlikely side there for Hill to get a finish, and that's how I think she does hit the optimal. All right, getting into the next fight here, we have Jimmie Rivera versus Pedro Munhoz. And although I think it's one of the more exciting fights on the card, I think this is a very good fight to fade. I think it's a good fight to fade. I mean, this fight is primarily going to be standing. Obviously, Rivera's not going to want to go out there and get a takedown on Munhoz. That'd be really dumb. And Munhoz probably would like to get this to the ground. But one thing about Jimmie Rivera is he has one of the best takedown defenses I've ever seen. 92%. If Munhoz somehow does get him down, which I think that's a huge stretch, Rivera's popping right back up. And I think this is going to play out standing for 15 minutes. I think it goes to decision. And ever since the new Draftkings scoring system changed the significant strikes to 0.4 rather than 0.5, I think this fight's going to score low outside of a finish. And just taking a look at some of the numbers here, Jimmie Rivera is not a finisher whatsoever. 26% finish rate, which is the worst on the slate. Close to Maza, which is 33%. Munhoz, decent finisher, 72%, but Rivera is very hard to finish. Rivera in 27 fights has only been knocked out once, and that was a head kick knockout by Marlon Moraes. So I do expect this to go to decision. I do expect it to stay standing the majority of the fight, if not the whole fight. And I see the winner, not scoring well. And I actually do see some ownership coming on these two guys because, for one, this fight is going to be exciting. And for two, both guys are very well known. So I'm completely content with fading this fight. If anything, I guess I'd maybe take a shot on Munhoz because he does have the finishing upside out of the two. But ultimately, I am picking Jimmie Rivera to win. I'm picking him to win by decision. At that point, I don't really expect him to score well. So I'm completely happy with fading this fight. I'm completely happy with fading Hill Yoder and just attacking the other fights that probably finish or at least have some grappling upside. And Rivera Munhoz, I don't think it has any grappling upside. Outside of Munhoz maybe clipping Rivera, submitting him, but even that's a stretch. And I don't think it has any finishing upside as well. So I'm completely happy with fading this fight, honestly. All right. They need new line makers at DraftKings via Brady with that plus 275 tweet. Next time, bro, let us all hit that. Yeah, I wanted to get that out there to as many people as possible. DraftKings Sportsbook made a big mistake. They put Jimmie Rivera at decision at plus 275. I think they fixed it. I don't know if they fixed it or not, but they didn't void it yet. So I'm crossing my fingers that they don't void that because they did make a mistake a couple weeks ago with the Zalal and Choi over and was able to capitalize on that. They didn't void that as well, so that would be sweet. What's up? We got the general in the house, Alex Ramirez. How you doing? I'm actually with you. I think Hill does score more than both these guys. I really do. So, but Hill is, of course, $9,200. All right, so next we have 3 fights left. Mauro Bueno Silva versus Montana De La Rosa. Yeah, kind of a tricky fight here from a DraftKings perspective. On the feet, I think it's a lot closer than people think. A lot of people are giving the clear advantage to Silva on the feet. I'm not so sure. We can take a look at the numbers a little bit. Silva is so hittable. It's crazy. She averages 6.74 significant strikes absorbed with a 44% striking defense. She's slow. She's flat-footed. She's hittable. And Montana De La Rosa, she's not the best striker in the world, but we saw massive improvements in her striking. She moved to team elevation. She was actually went out there and landed more significant strikes to Viviane Araújo. And of course, Araújo landed the more convincing, the harder shots, put some damage on De La Rosa. But just going out there, being able to compete with Araújo was actually pretty impressive. And I think Araújo is the much better striker between her and Silva. So on the feet, I actually think this is very close. I think Silva's going to be throwing the harder shots, the more convincing shots. But De La Rosa, she's making those improvements. She's looking better and better. But I think this fight's going to be won and lost on the mat. So there's always that concern in women's MMA, and that concern is the armbar from guard. If it's going to happen on any fight, it's going to be this fight right here. But Montana De La Rosa is going to have a massive advantage in the wrestling. Very good wrestler. Averages just about 2 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 30% accuracy. And Mauro Bueno Silva on paper has a good takedown defense, 71%, but we have seen her taken down before. We've seen her controlled for a decent amount of time. And yes, she has submissions over Jillian Robertson and Mara Barella, but Montana De La Rosa has only been submitted once in 17 fights, and that was like 6 years ago, and that was by Mackenzie Dern. So she has some good grappling herself. Obviously, you give the grappling advantage to Bueno Silva, but how big of advantage is she going to have when she's on her back? And that's where I do expect her to be for the majority of the fight. So I think Montana De La Rosa could be kind of a sneaky play to go out here and get takedowns, get top control, rack up those control time points, rack up some strikes as well, and have a decent score at 7,800. But if you're looking for some finish upside, Bueno Silva, if she wins, it's going to be more than likely armbar from guard, which is not a crazy possibility. So I'm going to have both sides here. I'm a little bit higher on the De La Rosa side, especially for the price, but would not be shocked if there's an armbar from guard situation happening here. But give me De La Rosa at that price. I like it a lot. All right, so getting into the co-main event. Yeah, I'll say this right now. I think both lines on the co-main and the main are just a little bit too wide. And we'll kind of take a look at it here. Ankalaev 9,300 and Nikita Krylov is 6,900. It's tough because Krylov is, typically one of those killer be killed fighters. Either he wins inside the distance or loses inside the distance. But his past two fights have went to decision. And other than that, he's either gotten finished or got to finish himself. 97% finish rate from Krylov, which is the best on the slate by a decent margin. And he has been finished in 6 of his 7 losses. Some things I want to note. Krylov has been knocked out only one time in 34 fights, and that was in 2013, and that was at heavyweight. So he's never been knocked out as a light heavyweight. Could Ankalaev be that first person? Maybe. I'm not sure, but Krylov does have a really good chin, and obviously Ankalaev's not going to go out there and submit Nikita Krylov. So I actually think that Krylov is really live in this fight. I think the line is extremely disrespectful. Ankalaev, I think, is either the first or second biggest favorite on the whole card. And I mean, just taking a look at the competition level of an Ankalaev, fighting guys like Marcin Prachnio, fighting guys like Paul Craig, in which he lost. We'll talk about that fight more in a second. Fighting guys like Ion Kudalaba, fighting guys like Klidson Abreu. I mean, he hasn't fought the best competition when you have Krylov fighting the much better competition, and it's really not even close. So yes, this is a big step up in competition for Ankalaev. And I don't know, it's a big test. It's a big test. I definitely think he could pass it, but do I agree with the 9,300 that he's at? Do I agree with like the minus 350 he's at? Not at all. Not at all, just because of how dangerous Krylov is. And just going back to the Paul Craig fight, obviously it was a once-in-a-lifetime last-second tap. For some reason, he tapped out with 1 second left on the clock. That's his only loss ever in a fight that he was winning. But, going through that fight, he was taken down twice by Paul Craig, which is not a great sign at all. If Krylov is able to get on top, I do think he can have some success. Ankalaev, he is low volume, 3.5 significant strikes landed per minute, but when he does land, he lands hard, very accurate, very pinpoint. I do think he's a better striker, but Krylov's going to bring it. Krylov's going to make this a very tough fight. So, although I do like both sides, the 6,900 on Krylov is just very intriguing to me because, for one, if he wins, he's going to break the slate. If he wins, it's going to be a finish, more than likely a submission. Ankalaev, if he wins, I'm not so sure he finishes Krylov. I mean, like I said, Krylov has only been knocked out once at the heavyweight division in 2013. Other than that, in like 34, 35 fights, his chin's held up. So liking Krylov a little bit more on the Draftkings side, but Ankalaev, I will have some. I will have some because I do think Krylov is one of those killer be killed fighters. The majority of his fights do end inside the distance, but I'm not so confident that Ankalaev does finish him here. But 6,900 for Krylov. If you're looking for a pump play that's going to fight for your money, I think he's live. I really do. Krylov at plus 270 is insane. I 100% agree. I think, I don't know. I was looking at the sub prop. Honestly, the sub prop is plus 900. I was looking at that. I think that's a little bit off, but I don't know. Ankalaev, he's legit. He's the real deal. But man, just the line is just so disrespectful. Yeah, I did think he beat Glover as well, which that speaks a ton there. What's up, Sosa? 1 shot, 1 kill. I like it. Let's get it, Sosa. You have a decision here. I'm guessing you have Ankalaev by decision. And that's kind of how I'm leaning to. And I do think if there's a finish in this fight, it's going to be from the Krylov side. And at 6,900, I'm willing to take some shots. I really am. It's just how much is Ankalaev going to score at 9,300 if he does not get the finish? If he does go to decision, probably not much. He's not going to go out there and get takedowns. I mean, he can if he wants, but why would he do that? He's not going to get to control time. If he does not get that finish, how well does he score? And I do think he's going to be one of the more higher owned plays on the slate. So I kind of like Krylov. I was very close to just picking him outright because I think this line's so off, but it's really hard to deny how good Ankalaev is, so I get it. All right, getting into the main event. A lot of people on the Rozenstruik side, and it's awesome to see because a lot of people used to hate on this guy, man. It used to be crazy. People did not like this guy. People would always trash him, but people are on him this week. So good to see here. I've been on him for a while, and I've liked him for a while, but in this matchup, I'm going the other way. I like Gane. I think Gane has the advantage pretty much everywhere outside of the power and outside of the experience. Rozenstruik's going to have a ton of power, obviously, and a ton of experience, more MMA experience, kickboxing background as well. And we've seen it last week. I mean, at the heavyweight division, it only takes one shot. One shot is all it takes. I mean, Derek Lewis landed what, like 3 or 4 strikes, and that one shot put out Curtis Blaze. I think a big factor here is going to be the ground game if Gane does choose to use it. I'm seeing Rozenstruik getting taken down twice by Overeem. He had absolutely nothing to offer off of his back. And then rewinding a little bit more to the Junior Albini fight where Albini was able to take down Rozenstruik twice, get into mount right away, and take his back. If Gane takes his back or gets into mount, the fight's going to be over. So I do think that Gane should go to the ground game. But will he go to the ground game? I don't know. I thought Curtis Blades would have went to the ground game a little bit earlier, but he wanted to test out that stand-up. And then once it was finally time to go in for a takedown, did not set it up, very lazy, and got knocked out. So I do think Gane should go for takedowns. I just don't know if he will. And as far as it staying standing, like, I still favor Gane. I mean, he's going to have the more output. He's going to be the better striker. But like I said, the power advantage does go to Rozenstruik. So just taking a look at the pricing, I think it's very intriguing. I'm probably going to be close to 100% owned on this fight, playing both sides. I will have some Rozenstruik at 7,200 just because if he does win, it's probably by knockout. I don't see him winning a decision. If Gane wins, I'm thinking maybe he does go to that ground game. Maybe he finds a submission. But either way, I think this scores very well. I do think it finishes. This fight is like, I want to say like minus 275 to end inside the distance, which is the most likely to end inside the distance on the whole card. So yeah, I'm going to have both sides. I get the Rozenstruik love. I definitely get it. Gane is definitely not tested at all. But just going back and watching tape on Gane, I mean, the dude's legit. I mean, I was just so impressed with what I've seen. The leg kicks, the body kicks, fantastic combinations. Looks like he has decent cardio as well. The ground game checks out. So I think Gane's the better fighter. But sometimes we see it, and we see it a lot. Sometimes the better fighter doesn't win. So Rozenstruik is live. I'm not betting this fight either way. I might be looking at some props. But as far as DraftKings goes, I will have nearly, if not 100% of this fight. Probably splitting it maybe like a 60-40 in favor of Gane, maybe like a 70-30 in favor of Gane, something like that, maybe like a 65-35. But I do know that I do want exposure of this fight and a ton of it. I do think it finishes. I do think it scores well. I think someone gets finished either way. So give me Ciryl Gane, but I will have some Rozenstruik. I do get the love for Rozenstruik. I've gone 2. Gane will be a great top contender, but he has to taste that defeat, and I see Rosen giving him that, plus what Gane's best wins. Bozer, a guy that clearly needs to be in light heavyweight. Bozer, he beat JDS. Yeah, not the most impressive wins, but still. You can take a look at Rozenstruik. He's beat Overeem in a fight that it really shouldn't have won, but I don't know. JDS, Mr. Chinny McChin, yes. Rosen stuffed 8 out of 10 takedowns and managed his cardio with Reem. But Reem's not really a wrestler, though. I think the most takedowns Reem has ever gotten in a fight was 2. And that was in the Rozenstruik fight, which helped him land the nuclear bomb in the later rounds. But I see the love Gane. But I see the Gane love I love in this fight. Anybody got Gane over Rosen here? Yeah, I got Gane, but I'm just not betting. I don't like the line there. All right, just kind of recap everything, and then we'll answer any final questions and head out of here. As far as like core plays, the plays I'm going to be on the most, I like Ronnie Lawrence a lot. I think he has a lot of takedown upside. I like Ciryl Gane a lot. I think he has takedown upside, the ground advantage if he does choose to go to use it. As far as fades go, I'm completely fine with fading the Rivera Munhoz fight. I'm completely fine with fading the Hill Yoder fight. As far as underdogs, Kevin Croom 7,400. I think Moises is interesting at 7,500, and I think Alexis Davis at 7,300 is really sneaky underdog play. But other than that, I mean, of course, Rozenstruik as well as a nice pump play, and then Krylov as a nice pump play. So it's a weird card. It's not going to be anything like last week. Last week, every single fight finished pretty much. This week, I feel like the majority of the fights will go to decision, but it should be fun. Always another opportunity to make some money, and I'm really looking forward to it as well. Yes, the underdogs have been barking this year, for sure. 2021 has been the year of the dog. And you said you're leaning more towards Rozenstruik. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all. This chat needs to wake up. I like it. I'm awake. Has Lawrence been KO'd? I want to say no, but just double check. Ronnie Lawrence has never been knocked out. His one loss was by decision. Caceres has been knocked out once, so. Long day, just soaking in all the legit MMA knowledge. Appreciate you for hanging out, Duffy. Lawrence is a good play. I mean, yeah, if he goes to that wrestling, is a fantastic play. Pretty real quick, thoughts on Jan versus Sterling. I'm actually going to tape that fight hopefully tonight. I'm going to try to get into the UFC 259 tonight. Early lean, I don't know. It's such a tough fight. Early lean, I guess Jan, but really no confidence in that. I got to do the tape. Yes, sir, Alex. Underdogs have won 40% this year. Isn't that crazy? Similar to 2015. If you don't know, now you know. All right, guys, I'm going to head out. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel, Pub Sports Radio Live. Go head over to Pub Sports Radio and subscribe as well. I'm going to be going live on my channel Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And then hopefully we do some talking hands as well, which would be at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time as well here on Pub Sports Radio Live. And then, of course, going live for the fights on Saturday. I believe the fights start at, I want to say 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. I did make an appearance last week. I might be making another appearance this week as well. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. I had a pretty decent amount in the chat this week. So thank you guys for that. And see you next week. And good luck with all your bets. Good luck with your DraftKings. And see you soon.